Hey everyone, it's Dorothy with crazyforcrust.com and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are continuing our tip series and talking about how to measure flour. Flour is one of the most important ingredients in almost every baked good. If you don't know how to measure flour correctly, you may end up packing it or using too much or too little. And it's really important to be precise when you're adding flour to a recipe because flour gives it all that denseness in the body, right? So if you add too much, it can be like really heavy and dense. And if you add too little, it might not rise properly. It might be like too wet. So it's a really, really important ingredient to measure properly. Okay, so when we're measuring flour, this is my flour bin. I have these are big ones because they fit like 10 to 15 pounds of flour per. I highly recommend not just storing your flour in like the paper bags it comes in. Get yourself a nice container that is airtight that you can put your flour in. It'll help keep any like bugs or dust out and it'll keep it nice and fresh. All right, so to measure your flour, it's super simple. Now, a lot of people will just scoop it in the cup, right? But if you scoop it in the cup, that is gonna be way too much flour. So you don't wanna scoop it, you don't wanna pack your flour. The way that you measure flour is to spoon it into the measuring cup and then level it off. So I have a spoon and a knife with a flat, or something with a flat surface to level it off with. So to spoon our flour in, we're going to take our measuring cup and we're just gonna spoon the flour into the measuring cup. All right, so I spoon it so there's more in there than I need. And then I'm going to take the flat edge of my knife and I'm gonna run it along the edges like so to level it off. And that's how you measure it if you don't have a scale and you're just using a measuring cup. Don't pack it, scoop it, and measure it. Now, if you are using a scale to measure your flour, I love using a scale. I've kind of started doing that more and more. I find it's much more precise. It's easier to use the exact same amount. You're not gonna be heavy-handed with your spoon. So if you have a scale, I highly recommend it. I always put it on the grams and you're just gonna put you can use a measuring cup, you can just pour it into a bowl. You need to have some sort of a bowl that you would measure into. I always like to measure into a smaller bowl, not into what I'm mixing in case I add too much. So I use that. You wanna make sure and use the 0 button or the tare, T-A-R-E button, tare button, to make sure it's zeroed out, which doesn't mean it's 0, it just means that it's subtracting the weight of the bowl or the vessel that's on top of the scale. And then you just add your cup of flour in there. And actually it was exact, it's 124 grams for a cup of flour. And by spooning and leveling it off, I got exactly 124 grams. That's how you measure flour for success every single time. Keep watching for even more baking tips.